Hey, what's up, friend? You are you interested in lack of skill? Yeah. Or maybe some suck. I'm just a new guy for the love of game. We don't go, I know it's bad. Times have changed, but not my mad. Don't you know that games are my thing? Yeah, I know it's getting real late. Come on, look at me. I even do storytelling. Also, podcasts on great game subjects. Okay, yeah, I'm not a Markiplier or a PewDiePie. But hey, that's what makes me so unique, right? 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 Hello, it's Spooky Town. Shaded, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, this is history in the making, Shaded. You know why? Because on the Niko show, we never do it live anymore, but now we are.
There you go. Progress.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Niko, this is the Niko show. This is going to be a Halloween special, and I wanted to bring a great friend of mine and someone who is a huge avid fan of horror gaming or horror in general.
That's true.
But especially gaming, because I can listen, shit. I can respect the man that doesn't just play horror gaming just to be scared or because it's Halloween time. But I respect it. You play because
I like
you
my
play it whenever.
graveyard trips. I like going to the woods, the middle of the night. I
Yes.
love my horror movies. I love my games. I am the horror lord.
I love my horror. Anyway, that's besides the point. But I just like when it comes to playing like horror games and stuff. You just play it every week. There's always a special time. There's no like I'm only playing this in October like I do.
That's true.
Or like some other
Saturdays, man.
Yeah, I think that. So I really enjoy that about you when it comes to playing horror gaming. All right, so we got the buttering shaded up. So
I feel very buttered.
you feel very pumpkin
like garlic bread.
Yeah, garlic pumpkin squash butter. So here at the Niko show, I'm Niko. Like I said, we're with ShadedTheFaded. This show, like I said, hasn't been done live in some time, and it's great to be coming back. And you know what, Shaded? You asking me or telling me maybe like that time we were doing Let's Plop together with Render about just trying to get like some kind of podcast going, just talking about games. So as soon as I saw you today online, I'm like, you know what? Let's just combine the two ideas and talk about games that are coming out or horror gaming in general, and do it on Halloween. So fucking happy Halloween.
There you go. It's perfect.
And you could reach Niko. I'm audio. I'm video. Anywhere. The links will be down below. The usual routine. If you're hearing this or watching this, so appreciate it. And then, I recommend anybody who hears us tonight to check out ShadedTheFaded. His links will be down in the description below, and then mine as well. So give us the spooky support, and appreciate anybody who's listening on the stream right now. So it means a lot. And then Shaded, what's the one place that everybody could find you just like super easily? Like boom, you're there.
I'm only in one place, so twitch.tv/ShadedTheFaded.
There you go. It's
Very easy, very basic.
Well, it's great. It's quality over quantity. I wish I would take my own advice. Oh my gosh! So we got the boring shit out of the way. The intro stuff. Shaded, are you actually? Let's talk about this. What are you doing for Halloween? Anything interesting?
Oh man. Probably spooky gaming.
Yeah.
With the fam. I think I might do a little door duty tonight. So, we have a pretty good neighborhood of kids.
Oh, really? Okay, so you live in a tight neighborhood pretty much?
Oh yeah, I'm like a little forest town, so like everybody kind of knows each other. So
When as soon as you said little forest town, I thought of like It's like a little Pokemon town. I don't know why.
Basically, yes. If you've seen my photos lately of fall,
Yeah.
it's basically a Pokemon town.
Oh
But
shoot. Well, that's cool. So pretty simple.
pretty
That's
simple. That's
yeah,
how I like it.
yeah, and I think it's great that you're wanting to do the Nico Halloween special episode. That was literally just like last ditch effort on the fly planning. I was like,
It's all
I
good.
was like, Shane, what are you doing? I got something. I don't know. I with me, I might. I got invited to go to this Halloween party, and like that starts in like an hour, but I don't know if I'm gonna go to it. I kind of like what we're doing. Like this right now is gonna be good enough for me doing this episode, and then do you plan on playing Dead by Daylight?
I actually think I do, and I also so on a side note, PUBG is doing a collab with Dead by Daylight,
Yeah.
and they actually have a Dead by Daylight mode in PUBG, and if you do it, you get a skin for Dead by Daylight.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
I actually have PUBG too. Oh my
and
god.
it looks really fun in PUBG. You repair generators. There's a killer. There's a lot more players and generators, and they even added perks into the game from Dead by Daylight. It's kind of bonkers, so I might do
What?
both because I want the Dead by Daylight skin, but the
Yeah.
PUBG Dead by Daylight looks really fun and it's free, so might as well check it out.
That sounds great. Yeah, I remember posting about that because I thought it was an interesting collaboration. I'm like, wait, this this is, I guess this could work. Okay, we could. Okay.
Yeah, it's very bizarre, but I'm down for it. It looks goofy and fun.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a lot of people playing it right now. I'm sure there are. Is
Oh yeah.
PUBG still relevant to this day? Like,
It's pretty huge. It still has big tournaments, especially over in like Asia. And
oh
PUBG
shit.
Mobile is like
Yeah.
popped off, so
Goddamn mobile gaming.
um,
It always wins.
it is really weird though that it's getting a collab with Dead by Daylight, but
You know what? Yeah, next it'll be Attack on Titan, and then it's I don't know what to believe anymore.
they've already done that, so.
Okay, so it sounds great. It sounds great, and I'm looking forward to it for sure. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to kick back and hang out more than what we were just doing. Like, we're going to hang out even more right now, the most hanging out of all time. Because we're going to be talking about horror gaming. Okay, just the horror gaming genre and just everything that would go underneath that very broad umbrella. So I'm gonna pop that picture up there in the layout. There we go, just for
Oh yeah.
imagery's sake. Okay, shaded. So horror gaming, the horror genre in video gaming. There's there's something about it that's very special in my heart, and I'm going out on a limb here. Very special in your heart as well.
Oh yeah.
there's there's something it's hard to explain, but there's something about it to where when you play a spooky game, actually before you even play, when you buy a spooky game or you hear about it or read about it, you kind of get really hyped and you're curious about it. It's like, whoa, what's this? What's going on in this? This looks kind of interesting. This spooky creature, or this looks this place, the plot, whatever, right? Whatever gets you involved, and then when it leads up to you buying the game, and you you get this sense of like anxiousness, but also you're really fucking excited to literally get the pants ripped off you, shitting
I,
the
I
pants.
I think for me, like I remember originally getting into horror for the first time, and it was actually some old anime horror, and I was way too young to watch it, but my dad wanted to be the cool dad,
Yeah.
and when I would go to his place, he decided to let me watch Blood the Last Vampire.
Oh my gosh, I
Um,
haven't seen that.
it's a 45-minute anime. I was like 7 when I watched it. It is so gory
Oh
and
shoot.
violent, and it's actually really spooky, really disturbing. And what's funny is I watched it probably like, oh god, I'm aging myself. I
That's
rewatched it
right.
like 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and I was like, this is badass. Like I love this now because it was so good.
Oh, so now you're able to like watch it without being spooked, and you're like, oh man, this
Yeah,
is okay, good.
and I don't know. I think the thing that draws me to horror games in general is the fact that like when you play, like let's say Mario Party, right? You're having a party. It's silly, or you play, I don't know, like Castlevania, Mega Man.
Yeah.
Like Castlevania's, I would classify that as horror, but not like it's not like scary horror. It's
No,
just
no.
horror themed.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's something about the genre where it's like you said, like when you hear about a game and people are telling you how like, you got to check this out. It's so scary, right?
Yeah.
It's something where you don't get to feel a lot in games, in the sense of like horror is just another feeling of like you want to get scared, you want to face your
We're
fears,
psychopaths that way. Yeah.
you want to share your stories.
Yeah.
And it's kind of different than like if you play like Call of Duty, right?
Hmm.
Well, you're just going to shoot guys for like an hour or two or three. It's fun, but you don't have an experience with it the same way,
yeah, it's a bit mindless.
right? Where like,
Yeah.
for example, I went through Dead Space for the first time when it came out,
Yes.
and back then, like, it's on the 360, and we all didn't have the internet wasn't what it was today. So we would go to high school, and I remember like sharing, moments from the game, like, did you like this part happen? And my friends were like, yo, no way, that's really fucked up. I gotta try it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's definitely something very special about horror games. And we are so spoiled, dude.
I know.
In today's world of horror, we're getting so much stuff. And there you go. That's a good leeway. Bam.
Yes. Oh, I was.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. So, shaded the great leeway is going into what is coming out eventually. So real quick, I'll give you my little rundown for horror gaming. So, I I do like horror movies, but not as much as like the next person. Like I'm very selective with horror movies. Like I love The Thing. Okay, The Thing will always be my favorite horror movie.
It is some of the best practical effects.
Right, and I love Aliens, but yeah, the first Alien is masterpiece in horror. And then there's a couple others. Speaking of, this is kind of funny. This is me aging myself. So when I grew up as a kid, there was a horror anime that I watched too. There was three animes that I watched that I didn't even know, and I was like maybe 4 or 5 or something. It was Fist of the North Star. There was Akira, and then Vampire Hunter D was my like first like exposure to. I mean, if we're gonna stick to the horror anime thing, was that, and that was like close to an hour and a half. And going by what you said, watching it recently, I'm like, man, this is really fucking good. I actually understand it. I'm not scared of it as much, and that's how it is nowadays with horror video games. Like I still get the pants. I still shoot my pants, like I still get really scared, but I'm able to go through it now. Whereas back in the day growing up, oh my god, let's start from the very beginning. Fucking Doom, like literally, like the original Doom used to scare the pants off of me. Uh that was horrifying because there's just demons running at you and they're making like snorting sounds and they're trying to kill you and they're just coming out of nowhere. That
The
was like,
lighting system was really advanced
yeah,
too.
it was just realistic and gory as fuck. And and my parents were like, my son's gonna grow up to be a great person. I had two older brothers, so there was no way I wasn't gonna see this stuff. I mean, shit. Our living room was so easy. Like our living room was pretty big where we lived in Missouri. I lived in Missouri for 8 years of all places, big ass house, and I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies. But my mom would just play it during the day, at night, and I would fucking walk by if I had to go to. There was only one bathroom. I was upstairs, and the bathroom was downstairs. So no matter what, I walked by the living room, and I always see what's on TV. My mom's watching like Species or Alien or fucking Hellraiser. It doesn't fucking matter. And I see like 5 seconds of it. I'm like, "Gah!" And I just keep going to the bathroom, and
That
then
explains a lot.
and then I go upstairs, and I could hear it. I could hear it, the sound from downstairs in my bedroom, and it's still giving me the shits and giggles. Like holy crap. but anyway, yeah, growing up, like I would play Diablo, right? Diablo I thought was scary as hell with the butcher and all that. Alien versus Predator, Silent Hill, like yeah, all the classics and stuff. Um, Dead Space, like you mentioned, was I. Oh my God, dude! All three Dead Spaces, despite what people say about whatever which one's scarier, dude, I was just like scared out of my mind no matter which ones I played. But the more experience and exposure I got, it was to a point where like, okay, this is fucking fun to do. Like before, I felt like it was like a psychological journey for me to where I felt obligated to do it,
Oh yeah.
more or less. And it was like I could find enjoyment with the gameplay, but that fear would it would take over. Now I'm able. It's so much more tamed for me because of all the horrific experiences I went through. It's just like, oh, Alien Isolation, the xenomorph. Yeah, he's scary. It's scary as fuck. But I can get through it now, and hopefully I don't cry myself to sleep afterwards. But anyway, like you said, leading up to nowadays, everything back in the day was literally just like going with shared stories. The internet was so fresh, new in the 90s, 2000s was still picking up speed, so everybody was like not knowing what was going to happen next, and nobody could really spoil it for themselves because that's how scared we were
The,
nowadays.
the perfect example of that, just to keep it short,
Yeah.
the Blair Witch Project, the original.
Yes.
When that
Exactly.
came out, there wasn't internet like really, and
Nope.
everyone was sharing how like disturbing, and people like a lot of people thought it was a real documentary back then.
and
Like,
and they,
and that's
people
just,
probably still
what you
think
were
it's
saying,
real.
right? And it's really good. It's aged like for me, it's aged, but
Hmm.
I can understand and like respect what it did back then. And it's
Yeah.
like you're saying, like it's just boom.
It capitalized on the found footage genre. it it did it right. Uh, and that's what I like about horror games though, is that the you can get so fucking creative with horror gaming. I mean, the that
Bro, I'm hyped for Choo Choo Charles,
yeah,
so
Charles. Oh
like,
God, yeah.
that's pretty creative.
But like I remember you would say it explicitly when you were playing the mortuary assistant. Like you're like, this is
Oh
the
yeah.
scariest fucking game I've ever played. Like these guys, there is something scary and new every time I'm playing this game and stuff. It
The
like the
thing about that too is that game, like, so on the outside, it might not look that scary, but when you're playing,
yeah.
it's like I knew something might be there, and 99% of the time, nothing was there.
Oh
But
good, that's how they.
the atmosphere and how thick it was,
Yeah.
and the story was beautiful. Like the ending, no spoilers, but it's definitely worth getting all the endings and learning about the character and stuff. It's gorgeous. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was like I was scared to even look around, and the game forces you to move around the room because you need the different mortuary tools.
Yeah.
So you have to look around, but you don't want to because of what could be there. And
Yes.
that's like horror perfection right there.
And you were talking about like 99% you think something's going to be there and it's not. That 1% where you let your guard down is when they fucking get you.
Yep.
It's like
It's
the
like,
whole
did
bait
I
and
see
switch.
that?
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
And then
yeah.
it's like, oh
There's
fuck, I did. There's a thing there.
and I remember just real quick, I just remember watching you and I'd just be like, "Oh my god, like this is like I was getting scared from watching you experience this."
Yep.
Well, that's how horror games are becoming now, where the game is trying to be more on the unpredictable side than like the predictable jump scares I mean, you kind of need those classic elements still in your game, but like God, nowadays everything is so easily spoiled. So those guys who made the assistant game, they knew that people are gonna try to spoil it. There's no fucking way to spoil a game like that.
And I've played 22 hours, and
Yeah.
when I was playing on the past Saturday, there were new things I was still encountering that I hadn't seen in 20 hours
Oh
because of
God.
how random and unpredictable it is.
Horror RNG is a gold mine when it comes to being scared.
Well, that's why I play Phasmophobia, because
Yeah.
every game is just different.
Yes, and that's why I can appreciate Alien Isolation, because the AI is always different depending on what you're doing and stuff. And that was back in 2014, which is 8 years ago. And that's pretty much how horror is gonna really become, really, if they want to keep things fresh. But going back to us, the great shaded leeway of horror games coming out in the future and being spoiled, dude, it's insane how spoiled we are right now with horror video games. I mean, I love it.
Yup.
It's fucking crazy though. It's just like all. I mean, same thing with like RPGs this year. Like Square Enix is releasing like 10 JRPGs in like less than 2 months or something. Like,
Yeah,
what the fuck's going on this year?
that Nintendo Direct, like 1/4 of it was just Square Enix, like, hey, by the
Yeah.
way, we've made like 50 games.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know if it's just how it is now, right? It's just like CD Projekt Red. Oh, we're making 5 Witcher games and 3 Cyberpunk games. Square Enix. Oh, we're releasing 20 Square Enix games, and I guess it's just the way things are going now. Uh, Now, horror gaming right now in general. I'm not saying like Capcom is just releasing 20 games at a time, but we're just
Konami's
getting.
back.
Yeah, yeah, we're getting.
That's a whole topic.
Okay,
Soon, though.
yeah, but we're getting like all these very unique horror games, whether they be remakes, like the Dead Space remake, Resident Evil 4 remake, Silent Hill 2 remake. Like it's like fucking remake Utopia, which
It's funny because typically remakes are bad, whatever, right? In
yeah,
this case, I am excited to see those stories and adventures with fucking good graphics of today.
yes,
Like,
yeah,
I am so hyped to see Silent Hill 2, and back then it was terrifying, and that's the graphics we had, but like seeing that shit in like 4K ultra like photorealism is gonna be amazing.
yeah. I just that team, that blooper team. A lot of people, I mean, including myself. I thought, what's his name, James, right? He looked a little. Some people make the comparison. He looks like old Leon or something from Resident Evil when he's like looking in the mirror and stuff. I guess people weren't really satisfied the way he looked, but
I thought he looked like he did. I don't know. It
but
works for me, but
but I mean, I thought that's like the main gripe of what people had. I don't know if anybody else complained of like how the game actually looked and played. I think it looked. I mean, I know it's third person instead of the fixed camera angles or whatever you want to call it. How Silent Hill usually goes, but I was okay with it. I was fine. With it's cool to see these remakes come out, whether people like remakes or not. I get it. It is like how the things go nowadays because everyone's kind of running out of ideas, so they're like, what works.
also remember there's a difference between a remake and a reboot.
Yes, I would say that about. I would make the argument with Final Fantasy VII because it's not a remake; that's a reboot. But you didn't hear that from me. uh, like I like in Resident Evil 4 remake, like the whatever latest trailer they were showing, like, hey, look, Leon's holding a flashlight this time, or look, he's got some like more close quarters combat moves to prevent himself getting killed. Like I like modernizing the formula a little bit, and it's cool.
Yeah.
These enemies AI are more like advanced to a point where it doesn't seem too unrealistic. I enjoy it, and then the graphics, holy shit, is like the main thing that gets everyone excited too, because it's always cool to compare and contrast and see where it's gone. Um, and that's just the remakes. Like there's Callisto Protocol, which I'm super stoked for. If anybody likes Dead Space.
Yep.
This game, I mean, banned in fucking Japan. Japan, of all places, was scared of Callisto Protocol.
Yep. That's how violent it's gonna be.
Like,
Then the team was like, we're not gonna censor it, and Japan was like, all right, well then we have to ban it.
like
And
this.
I respect them for that.
Oh, yeah, because this is the
Um,
funny thing with Japan. They don't give us the okay. Let's just go with an example from way back when Mega Man 2. Japan didn't think Americans or the Western audiences could handle Mega Man 2's difficulties, so they gave us a less difficult version in America.
it's kind of true though, because a lot of people still say Mega Man 2's hard.
Yeah, exactly. But
But like Japan, it's crazy to me because Japan's like there's so much gore, anime, and like horror shit that comes from Japan. So this has to be uh,
they saw something they didn't like.
right. I'm like, how fucked up is this game gonna be? Like,
I watched that documentary series that I think I sent you, and it was all about like brutality and stuff. It's like really feel the hacks and the limbs coming off and stuff, and the way and just how it all works together. And
well,
I'm
those
just
guys are they're pros from Dead Space when they
yeah
worked on that.
yeah
Specifically to get the necromorphs, the team looked at car crash victims and like shit
oh my
like that,
god
and
yeah
they literally had paid therapists on staff while we were making the game.
yeah
So Callisto's gonna be nuts.
they even they even had a clinical psychologist from like UCL or like Los Angeles be on that documentary episode, which I thought was funny. So we go from Dead Space, your moms are afraid of Dead Space 2 to Japan is afraid of Callisto Protocol. What a fucking
That's a pretty big honor.
like what a fuck yeah, what a shift from moms to an entire country.
Right?
That's why. See, this is what makes horror special. It's you know, there are of course there are some games that get banned due to their violence, like Manhunt or Grand Theft Auto or something, due to blah 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 reasons. You know, because of violence alone. But I like it to where horror games is violence, but it's violence to an art. It's not mindless. It's if you can find like the thing,
Perfect example of that is
yeah.
Scorn.
Scorn, which you know what's funny, the controversial thing with Scorn, it's like it looks great, right? But everybody thought it was going to be a Doom shooter, but it turns out it's like a puzzle first person game.
Yes, it's a Geiger
Yeah,
roller coaster through his fucked up head.
yeah,
It's not a Doom shooter, and the thing about it, this is how I rated it. If
yeah,
you like Geiger and you like his artwork and you love that world and you know, if you like Alien, there's even Alien Easter eggs in Scorn, which is really cool.
and if you like
Um,
puzzles,
and it's very puzzly and also it's like an experience. Like you're walking through
yeah,
this disturbing, fucked up, brutal, beautiful world, right?
yeah, yeah,
And you know, 9 out of 10 easy. If you are not a fan of the Geiger artwork, which is really like he had a lot of stuff in his head just wrong. Like that man was not a very pleasant human being.
yeah,
But his artwork depicted that, and it's just brutal and gorgeous, and you know, and if you're not into that at all, then you're probably just not gonna like the game. Like it's a 4 out of 10 basically. It's just a 5 hour experience through this grotesque, beautiful artwork, basically.
it's almost it's all. I mean, maybe it could be like a nice like character study of his work and stuff and him. Uh,
I think they should have marketed it different and not shown the gun parts. And the gun parts,
yes,
they're not
yes,
really guns. It's like a tool to
right,
like
right,
get through an enemy. It's
yeah,
different. They should have went with the atmospheric, like it's a walkthrough, like it's a layers of fear thing, right?
yeah,
And I
exactly,
think it would have done a lot better. And I mean, it's doing well for the people like me who love that stuff, but
yeah.
yeah, for the general audience, they were expecting what you said, like this looks more like a Doom shooter, and then it's
Yeah.
just not. And you know, it's if you're not prepared for it, it's all loads of disturbing.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, when I saw it, I was just like, "Damn, this looks like the art style and everything looked fucking amazing." Like those guys, whoever was in the art department, apps like besides Geiger himself, of course, but whoever like did all the modeling and the concept art and all that, like they fucking nailed it,
Yeah,
which is awesome.
I can say this with a pretty good like, I think they honored Geiger. That's a pretty high thing to say, but that's I think they did him like it's he would be so proud.
Yeah,
Like it would blow his fucking mind.
yeah. And see, and that's why, like, I don't know, maybe could you consider it a horror game, I guess?
I consider it atmospheric horror,
Okay, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
same way I consider a lot of Silent Hills and Fatal Frame and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Right, right. It's that tension that builds up and stuff that makes a
You
difference.
have to like allow yourself, like put on headphones, turn off the lights,
Yeah.
get absorbed.
And see, that right there is like that was always the ritual of just playing a horror video game that I couldn't get anywhere else. Is
Right? Even when you had friends over for
yes.
sleepovers, you'd turn off the lights, you'd rent the movie or the horror game, and you'd all like sit around and you're in the dark.
And everyone just takes a turn shitting in a toilet together.
Yep.
Like that's what was so great. And you know what? Like when you play like Dead Space, let's just say Dead Space, because that was like in the beginning it was pretty tough for me to get through because fucking Dead Space was like a masterpiece in horror, uh, horror gaming, and then Dead Space as well. When you play it, it's like it really is a psychological journey, just to overcome that fear of everything that you have, all those fears in real life that you have, like for fucking one, afraid of the dark. Afraid of the dark is like the main thing. Loud noises, of course, and then creature body horror stuff. But I honestly, going through that stuff when you get this is crazy. Even when you go through like one room in a horror video game, it's an accomplishment because you know those motherfuckers behind the desk working on the games are finding ways to really mess with your head in every room. Everything in horror games is like one giant set piece, and it all adds up to something to where hopefully the payoff is good. They did their job, you did your job, you got scared, you overcame it, and then you get this high from it, and then you want to keep fucking going. Like you want to see what the next thing that can maybe scare you, or I don't know. So that's what I could appreciate. And Dead Space was just one of those games where that happened a lot, where it took a lot of a lot of gutso to get through that game. Holy shit.
Oh
Um,
yeah. You'd play 15 minutes at a time, you'd turn it off because you're too scared, and then 5 minutes later it would creep back into you and you'd be like, I gotta go play it again.
dude, that's how it was with Dead Space 2 or something. It's like I would get through like a level or two at a time. I'd turn it off and then I would just think on it before I go to sleep. And then the next day I'm like, all right, I'm fucking ready to get to the next part of the game. Let's go. Um, but see, you just to me honestly you just don't get that with other genres in gaming because you know a lot of it's mindless or if you're playing like an RPG they're not scary at all for the most part unless you're playing like maybe nope. Can't
It's
think of anything.
definitely a different feeling. Like when
Yeah,
here's a good example to kind of iterate
yeah.
on your point. When it's a different feeling 100%. And I remember Breath of the Wild, right? The first
Uh-huh.
time I played that, I stayed up for 50 hours and I played it the entire time. Because it hit me the same way where I was having so much fun and it was brand new at the time.
Oh,
And I
fuck
was,
yeah.
you're discovering all this new stuff.
Yes.
And it's similar to playing like when I first played, I'll throw this back, but Doom 3.
Yeah.
It's a little controversial, but ignoring that, that was a game where, and again, I hadn't played horror games, and I hadn't like I knew what Doom 1 and 2 were, but I hadn't like played
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
So, my friends were playing Doom 3 on the original Xbox, and I remember I borrowed it, and that game is, I think without playing Doom 1 and 2, just pretend Doom 3's isolated. It's a realistic scenario, and the game is trying to portray like, hey, humans are on Mars, and this is like shit is going down here, and
Hmm.
you're going through these like dark corridors. You're on another planet, like everything is alien, and you're also now dealing with these creepy ass demons.
Yeah.
And the lighting was like at the time
Oh, it's
for
phenomenal.
2004.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's
The
it's
shadows and
just
lighting. Oh my god.
it revolutionized a lot of gaming in
Yeah.
terms of the lighting and the game system itself, or sorry, engine.
Hmm.
And it was one of those games where literally I'd play for 10 minutes and I would be so scared I'd have to turn it off, and then like 10 minutes later I'd be like, no, I want to turn that corner. I don't know what that noise is, but I want to go down that hallway. And
Yep.
it's funny because in Doom 3 you have weapons,
Yeah.
but even with weapons, at least for the first half of the game, near the end it gets more like, you're just shooting hordes of these monsters and all that. But
Yeah. Yeah.
uh the majority of it was like what you were saying, like, you want to trudge through it. And it's cool how like games of different genres can do that. Like Breath of the Wild sucked me in a different way, but I
Yep.
was still having fun. Doom
That's,
3 sucked me in the
yeah.
same way, and I was shitting my pants.
Yeah, I was just Breath of the Wild. I was the same way. I played it for like 3 months straight. It was insane. When it
um
came out on the Wii U.
and then like again, like if I want to just kind of like to the other point, a lot of games are just meant to be like, here, pick this up and kind of play.
Yeah.
And it's cool how horror games have that different element of like, there's something special. Like, we're 10 years old. We have like four friends coming to sleep over. We rented, Silent Hill 2 from Blockbuster. Let's
Oh,
do this.
fuck yeah, dude.
Um, and it's like, you could also have a sleepover and bust out, Mario Soccer Strikers on GameCube and have a blast as well. But
But
there's just, it's
it's
that
different.
fear and like,
Yes.
it's wanting to be scared and like
Yes.
experience it and have those moments.
Yeah, and that's why um oh, gosh. Yeah, I also have memories of having friends over and doing that too and stuff. And this is why I like horror gaming more than horror in movies, because it really has me in control of my own fear, and I'm able to move this avatar, this character around, and I'm able to have a way of controlling that fear. I'm able to fight through the hordes of whatever creatures or something. Or if I need to, if it's like an Outlast situation where I don't have weapons, I have to hide and stuff. At least I can choose where I hide and sneak around and stuff. And with, compared to a movie, you're watching something that you have no control of. It's already done for you. You're not playing it. But not saying horror movies are bad or anything. I just prefer to where I can control the fear and pew pew my way out or something, or uh,
It's like when you're in
take
your
my time.
house. It's
Yeah.
like when you're in your house and you're on the second floor and you're looking out the window, and down below, you see like there's a car crash and you're
Yeah.
like, oh shit, that's not good, that's scary.
Yeah.
And then you turn around in your house and you're like, right, my house is haunted and I'm alone and it's 3 a.m. Like when you watch a movie, it's fun and you're watching like through a window. When you play a game, you're the one in control. It's you.
You are going through the window.
Yep.
Pretty
Head
much you're in it.
first.
Yeah. And oh, gosh, and that's why like I'm so excited for all these horror games coming out. Uh, I wish I could play them all. I mean, I think the top horror games that I want to play the most right now is Callisto Protocol and RE4 Remake. I wish I could play Dead Space Remake, but I'm still kind of iffy on that. It's because it's EA. EA will always, sour taste in my mouth every time EA's somewhere plastered on a game or something. Uh, but I mean, and you know what? It's great going through these games again too. You know why? It's because it's always going to be a different experience. So, uh, going through the game once is fine. You accomplished your task. You're like, I fucking did it. I got through Alien Isolation. I got through Mortuary Assistant. I got through Phasmophobia. I got through one. I escaped. I completed. I figured out who the ghost was or what kind, right? And it feels so good to do that. And you could be like, okay, that's it. I finished the game and everything. I'm done. Let's go on to a different game. But good chance if it's a really good horror game, you're gonna want to come back and see. You're gonna want to play it a different way or experience it differently or something. Um, and yeah, you could do that with other games too. But like I said, it really is some type of you really just have to sometimes prepare yourself to get into these wacky minds of these game directors and these authors that wrote these stories and stuff because they like to get scared too. They like to be fucked up in the head as much as we do. Uh, and it's a blast. I mean, when you watch behind the scenes of like these games being made, these guys are like always chill. They're really cool people. Uh, they want you to get scared, and they do their damnedest to scare you. And everybody's got their own way of scaring you, right? You got like your Alan Wakes, which are like your psychological horror. You got your in the face horror, which is like Resident Evil or something.
I would say like Outlast.
Outlast is
That's pretty in your face.
Outlast is like a in your face helpless, like feeling helplessness type of horror because all you can really do is hide and run. It's like the scariest hide and go seek of all time. Uh, and it's interesting to see how people experiment with horror. It doesn't always pan out for them, but there's always something that has us remember these horror games. Like there's something that sticks out. Alien Isolation was the xenomorph itself, right? Uh, Capcom was the zombies and the Jill sandwich joke. uh, Dead Space was the necromorphs and being able to dismember them and shit like that. You're trapped on a spaceship. Anyway, uh, it's really cool, and it's never a mindless time too for me when I'm playing horror games. I treat it seriously, uh, how they would want me to treat it. I don't like to dick around when I'm playing horror games because it kind of ruins the experience and the immersion. Uh,
Oh yeah, the biggest true.
um,
That's you know.
So, ladies and gentlemen, a good tip, as we mentioned before, if you don't do it, you should. But I mean, just playing it is fine. But turn off the lights, turn up the music. You can put headphones on if you're going to be too loud with the other people next to you, or if you can, turn it up and not use headphones, and hopefully you don't bother the neighbors, and just have a bloody good time. I think that's good. Now, Shaded, what are some upcoming horror games that you are most excited for? We probably already listed them, but if you can, what are the
My
definites? The
my
definite,
list
yeah.
my list is very big.
All right, let's hear it. This is the fun part.
All right. So, let's just start off with something. Callisto Protocol, obviously. There's a weird one called The Chant coming out.
Oh,
It's like a cosmic horror weird game, and it's like Lovecraftian. Uh, it's I don't know. It looks disturbing, and it's like the monsters are very Silent Hill, kind of interesting. The Dark Pictures anthology, The Devil in Me, looks really fun. That one
ah,
I think I would call that like a movie horror game where
yeah.
from start to finish you're just on a roller coaster.
It's like an interactive experience, pretty much.
Um, Let me just think a minute. There's Callisto. Oh, I already said Callisto. I'm so hyped. Choo Choo Charles comes out on December 9th. Uh, this is going back to the experimenting point. Choo Choo Charles it started off as a meme, and the game is about there is a train that's also a spider demon thing, and you're on an open world island where there are cult members to the train, and how it works is there are tracks all around the island, and you are also in a train. Now, you have to fight Choo Choo Charles because he's going to come after you, and you can upgrade your train. There's different weapons you can attach to it. You uh, you have to get off the train to like change tracks. You have to get off the train to find different parts and upgrades for it. And the goal is to just destroy Choo Choo Charles and survive. And it looks batshit silly, but
Yeah.
it looks really fun. So I'm very excited for that one. Uh, oh, the Outlast Trials, of course, which is like
Oh
an
yeah.
it. I think it's supposed to be it's multiplayer, and
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think it's like Dead by Daylight. I it There's not a lot on it right now, but from
Yeah.
the trailer, it looks incredible. The graphics are nuts. It's Outlast in its fullest. It looks like it's just gore. It's disturbing. It's Outlast. So I'm
It,
very excited for that.
it reminds me of like if Saul and Dead by Daylight had a baby. or something. Maybe I don't know. I'm trying to come up with like a
Oh
crossover thing.
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, which is good. Which is very good.
Now I'm gonna throw one from left field.
All right, here we
Killer
go.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the game.
Oh yeah, I saw a trailer of it today.
I watched the original movies when I was younger, and they're so stupid and silly. And I believe how it works is there's three clowns and four survivors, and it's like Dead by Daylight a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's just stupid. Like if you've watched that camper stuff, it's just a camp, movie game. I don't know, it's silly.
But you see, it's great. This is what I like about people putting their own spin on horror. Whether if everybody's got their own kind of horror that they like. And like you said, this is the campy, silly type of horror, which is fine. That's kind of needed. Then you got your real serious horror games like Silent Hill or Resident Evil, and then you got like like really not so silly, but can be silly, but also serious. Like I consider Dead by Daylight like that. There's some nice spooky moments in that, but it can be silly and fun at the same time. Uh, okay, and then any other ones?
Layers of Fears. So Layer of Fear 3,
Oh
which
my,
is Bloober Team.
oh my God, they have a third one now.
So I watched the trailer, and I didn't play Layers of Fear 2.
I didn't play any of
I
them.
played the first one. Now I know the first one was a little hit or miss with people.
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed it. It's a story horror game. It's like light horror, but the
Yeah,
story in the background, it's psychological. It's really disturbing, and the DLC added a lot to it because in the DLC you play as the daughter of the house, and you go through what she went through in the house, and it's really it's not a good time. So Layers of Fears looks like we're going back to that kind of original story, and I feel like this one they've learned a lot from all their other games,
yeah,
and so far from what I've seen, I'm gonna give it a chance. It looks pretty good.
yeah. Why
There's
not?
also there's also a weird one called Slitterhead coming out. I know.
Oh, that's
Now
great.
here's the cool part.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's being made by Kiichiro Toyama. I believe that's how you say it. Who originally was the creator of Silent Hill and Forbidden Siren.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna
So,
say his name sounds familiar.
it looks really weird and disturbing. So, and I like Silent Hill in the Forbidden series. So
Yeah.
it's weird, but I'm interested.
Yeah.
There's also like there's Routine, the new System Shock,
Oh
whenever the fuck
yeah.
that comes out.
Yeah, that's been in like development hell for so long.
Oh, here's another one. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is a take on Dead by Daylight to a degree.
Yeah.
So you have the three killers and I believe five or four survivors.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially kind of like Friday the 13th. I've seen the trailers, and it actually looks like it does a lot differently from Friday and Dead by Daylight. It looks pretty good. There are some really fucked up kill scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for that one. I think I mean, we have all the Silent Hills, we've got Resident Evils, like
Yeah.
um I played a demo recently for Ludo, Luto,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me about 50 minutes to go through the demo, and the full game comes out next year. And that one felt like if Silent Hill PT had a baby and they mixed it with like Visage a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and it was really good. The atmosphere was creepy as shit, and I did not want to move through the house, and I had to force myself into the next room, and it had like light puzzle solving. So spoilers because it's in the demo. The ghost is a sheet,
Oh.
like your classic like a ghost in a sheet, and
Oh.
yes, very what you'd think like that's not scary. However, they animated this thing like the mortuary assistant animations,
Oh
and
no.
the way this thing moved, it looked so real,
Oh
and
no.
they used it. It was like never in your face. It was so subtle in how it would appear and how it would move around you. And while that's happening, you're also like going through this weird Silent Hill PT house. Like there's bars on doors and there's like chains hanging, and the house is like half house and half not house.
Ah.
And by the end of the 50 minutes, when I finished it, I was really impressed. I have high hopes for the full game.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'll pop you the trailer later, but the
Yeah,
Sheet Ghost was
I want to see this.
it was just so well done for something so silly.
Woo!
And there
Uh,
was one part where I opened a door and it's like this weird back alley in the house, and there's like a bunch of doors. And as you walk through, one of the doors burst off its hinges, and this sheet ghost crawls out and then gets up and starts like running towards you like Pennywise.
oh my
And
gosh.
I was actually freaking out. I believe I screamed and I was running.
Holy crap.
Because it was so animated. Like the animations were so well done and the loud noise, and it was so like it was good. So it's called Ludo, comes out next year sometime. And yeah, as I guess our indie shout out, that would be mine. So
Yeah.
like the Mortuary Assistant, I played the demo first and then the game came out. So kind of same situation here. I'm very excited. I think the devs know what they're doing, and yeah, no, it was like an hour of just this is some good creepy ass horror.
Bringing back the good old sheet because that was always just a little cliche. It's like, ah, I'm
Yeah, it,
spooky.
it it just it works. And what's crazy is I went through the VODs a little bit and I noticed at some points that there like the sheets were actually around me, but I didn't notice that they had like vanished or had moved.
Oh god.
And they had done a lot of subtle things and I just didn't notice because I was so like scared and just looking at the middle of the screen with my flashlight, like,
Yeah.
so yeah, those that's my very long list. I'm sure there's a ton more I'm missing, but
Ah, that's
yeah,
okay. That
there's
see.
there's a lot of horror games coming out
Oh
right
yeah.
now.
Oh, I. And then there's another big one. There's Alan Wake 2 that comes out next year.
Oh yeah, Alan Wake's definitely it's a very weird one.
Yeah, and then this time they said Alan Wake 2 is going to be survival horror instead of psychological horror, so that's going to be interesting. Remedy Games,
Nice.
they definitely know what they're fucking doing, that's for sure. Like, respect Max Payne, Alan Wake, Control, and Quantum Break. They were all such unique type of trippy, very trippy, psychological or horror esque games in their own right. More or less depending on which one, but oh gosh, yeah. Like I'm just focusing on the big two right now. It's Callisto Protocol and RE4 remake. Um,
Oh yeah.
and then now that's the fun part. Like I said, RE4 remake. This is the same team that worked on the RE2 remake, which they did amazing. Capcom did an amazing job on.
Still
Um,
gotta play 2 and 3.
dude, oh my
They're on
gosh,
sale right now. I might get them.
two. If I mean, I like both the remakes a lot. They're very well done. People will say two is better than three because two is longer, but that's because that's how it's
I
always.
don't care about length. I just care about the journey.
Yeah, exactly. But like statistically, it's like two is always longer than three originally on the classic one because there's two characters to play anyway. Three only has one character you play. Anyway, so yeah, I think you'll. Shit, dude. Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 is remake is badass. Mr. X is fucking badass in RE2 remake. That's actually. Let's talk about our favorite horror games. RE2 remake is on there. I love RE2 remake. I love Resident Evil 4, Dead Space. I guess I don't know. I guess we'll just. I guess the first one or second one. It's a toss up.
You can just say like the series.
Yeah, the series. Yeah, it's just kind of too easy though because you go straight to like Silent Hill, Resident Evil, uh, I don't like. Okay, I'll tell you what I don't like. I recently played this for Let's Plop. It was the first game we did. Was Dino Crisis. That game was really bad.
Oh man, don't even get me started.
I I couldn't stand Dino Crisis.
Dino Crisis is Resident Evil's step cousin who comes over and you only see them on Thanksgiving and they're
Yep.
sitting at the kids' table and you're just like, God, I hate this fucking kid.
Yeah. Who invited this fucking kid again? Oh wait, now I remember. Yeah, it was. It's just not good at all. Um, but anyway, yeah, I mean the classic ones. I mean, Alien Isolation is great, but yeah, the top ones for me is Resident Evil 2 remake, 4, and Dead Space, and gosh, I want to say there's one. Oh, Doom. Yeah, fucking Doom. Like all the Dooms for crying out loud. Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 3, Doom 2016, Doom Eternal. I fucking love them all. I had a great time playing them. Uh, Man, just like I said, man, there's just something about horror games. I mean, shoot, like Diablo 1 scared the pants off of me when I was a kid. Uh, they were real spooky with that one, Shaded.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now your favorites.
Oh man. Okay. I have a lot. I wrote in WordPad while we were talking
Okay,
because I have a lot. So I'm
that's all
gonna
right.
blast through them.
Goku blast them.
So Amnesia: The Dark Descent,
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Little Nightmares 1 and 2.
Oh, okay, those were
I
horror games. Okay.
I really enjoyed them. The second one has a massive twist in it that connects to the first game, and it's really well done, and it's really disturbing, and I love it. Well, Phasmophobia. I don't know if that counts, but
It
I'm gonna
does.
count it
Yeah, why not? It's a
because
game.
I'm level like I have put so many hours into it, and it's so replayability. It's the ultimate ghost game.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
great. I
I
like
mean,
watching you
Resident Evil
play it.
4. I've played Resident Evil 4 so many times.
Yes, dude.
Fatal Frame 2, Crimson Butterfly, all the way. Like,
Yeah, actually that was
oh,
one of the games that I played with my friends in the dark, and we would get scared shitless. That's a good one.
so good. I have an indie one. I actually really like Cry of Fear. It was a mod for Half-Life, I believe.
Oh,
And it's about 20, I would say like 15 hours, maybe 20. You could probably do it faster,
wow,
but
that's
it's
pretty long for a horror game.
yeah, for a mod as well.
Yeah, you gotta
And
love it.
it was it's about this guy and he's like depressed and anxiety and he's had some really fucked up shit happen and he's basically like going through this like Silent Hill. I don't even know how to explain it. It's disturbing. It's really
Yeah.
scary. The monsters make some of the most horrific noises I've ever heard in horror games.
Oh shit, there we
And I
go.
believe it was just a small team that wanted to tell this story and they fucking nailed it.
Damn, that's
Um,
awesome.
I like BioShock a lot.
Oh
Like,
my gosh, how
you
I
know,
fucking forgot BioShock. Oh, it's so good.
uh,
BioShock 1 is a masterpiece.
the whole thing, I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, Left 4 Dead, I'm gonna count that because it's zombies.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
the witch can be pretty scary.
Funny enough, I'm gonna throw this one out randomly.
All right, I'll catch it.
Slender: The Arrival.
Ah,
I
okay.
I enjoyed it. I played through it, I think 2 years ago or three. I remember I played it on a stream for Halloween, and it's indie, and I know it's like cheesy,
Yeah.
but I actually enjoyed the story, and it wasn't the longest game. You can do it in like 2 or 3 hours, but it's just short, sweet, and Slenderman's creepy as fuck. I don't know, I like it.
Did you ever play the Blair Witch game that came out a few years ago?
I did. I enjoyed it for the most part until the end. The
Ooh.
ending was really weak, and they made you do this really repetitive thing where you're trying to get out of this house, but like it dragged on. I felt like it was like an hour or 2 hours of like the game should have ended by now,
Oh, yeah. Padding out
and
a horror game is never a good sign.
it wasn't good padding. It was
Yeah.
just okay. I'm going through this house again. Okay, I'm going like how do I? What the hell? Like I like end the game, please. And I remember, I think even in the stream, I was like, this game won't end. I'm trying.
Oh my god. I'll
Uh,
have to watch a playthrough of it on
Doom
YouTube.
3, I mean,
Hell yeah.
say what you will about it, but to me, like, I like the realistic take on, kind of the Doom story.
I
Now,
did
don't
too,
get me
yeah.
wrong, Doom 2016 and Eternal are sick as shit. Like, I love the run and gun,
Yeah.
but I consider Doom 3 just its own thing. Like, it's just a realistic kind of take on, like, what would happen if this went down, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of like disturbing moments. Like there's a dude on the ceiling and he's screaming with his insides open and they're just falling onto the floor. Like,
Yep, I know, it's awesome.
you know, um oh man, there's a lot.
So definitely not Silent Hill Homecoming.
No. No, I don't, no, we don't talk about that. Uh okay. You know, this is my like favorite game of all time basically, and I know a lot of people, you can debate it. I think this game falls under horror to a degree,
Okay.
even though it's cute. Uh, Hollow Knight,
Oh,
a little
okay.
bit of a weird one,
Yeah, it
but
is. Yeah, yeah.
when you're playing through and you're just like in the dark and you're going through, there's like, especially this one area where you're just in the dark and there's like these really weird things. Um, I don't know if it counts. I would count it as like kind of cute horror, maybe, or
Eh,
maybe not really horror, but
it's got like horror, maybe some bit on the horror imagery side, like dark themed in a way.
right. So I guess it's more like a dark game rather than like horror.
Yeah,
But
it's
I
whatever.
want to throw one of those. Oh, and obviously I have to say it, Castlevania 1 to 3 and Super Castlevania 4. Those aren't like scary horror, but they're horror. It's, you got classic Frankenstein, fucking Dracula,
Yep.
werewolf, Medusa, like
Yeah, you do.
I
Bats,
I gotta throw those
zombies.
four out,
Yeah,
you know.
yep, they got all the cliche creatures in there. It's awesome.
So I don't know. My list it's probably endless, so I'll end it there. But there's a lot. Like,
Yeah, and see, oh man, it's just it makes me happy that there are a lot of iconic horror games out there that you could literally, folks, you could go out and play those games from way back when, and you still find enjoyment of them. Be like, hey, Shaded, let's go back and play Fatal Frame 2. Him and I would have a fantastic time. Hey, I'm gonna go play Dead Space 1. Fantastic time. Let's go even further back. Let's play, like you said, the original Castlevania. Despite how difficult it is, you can still find a good time out
you
of
know
it.
what's crazy about all this too, right? Is the fact that like, okay, so let's just like Call of Duty comes out, right?
Mm.
And then let's say like, uh, you know, uh, Battlefield comes out. With games like that, it's always like, oh, this is the next Call of Duty killer. This is the game that replaces it, right? And then we all
Yeah.
go play that,
Yeah.
just as an example. And what's cool about horror games is like that doesn't really happen. It's
No,
more
it
like,
doesn't.
yo, have you heard of this one? Like,
Yes,
it's
exactly.
very different rather than like, oh man, this Silent Hill is gonna kill Resident Evil. It's more like, oh shit, there's a new Silent Hill and a new Resident Evil. That's sick.
Yeah, it's
It's
weird.
cool how
Yeah, yeah, you never get this sense of like, oh, this horror franchise is competing against this one. I mean, sometimes it may seem like that, like when Konami and Capcom were releasing Silent Hill and Resident Evil games around the same time. But they,
they were also just doing their own thing.
yeah,
Like I don't
exactly.
I don't I don't really feel like one is, they're like, the third person kind of tank controls are similar, but when you actually like look at the games, they are
They're
completely
completely different.
different.
Yes, and that's why I like horror games in general. It's because these guys, they they all have this dark twisted side of them, and it's always different from the next to, like, from mine to yours or something. My dark twisted horror game is nowhere going to be even close to what your dark twisted horror game would be, and that's why these games stood out so much and why they became iconic. I mean, holy crap! And shoot, it's always my favorite thing is when they release these games around like Halloween time. Like, I'll never forget is when they released the first Dead Space. I think it was on Halloween. I think it was October 31st, and it was fantastic. I'm gonna look this up right now, in real time. Let's see. Okay.
I mean, that's like the whole part of the genre of horror and why it's fun is that you get to feel things you normally don't feel. And it's
Yes.
almost like
Oh,
I would compare it to being adrenaline junkie, where it's like instead of launching myself out of a plane for my, my adrenaline or my scare,
yeah.
uh, it's horror games. It's like put me in this world, let the atmosphere suck me in. I want it so when I turn off the game and I get up from my chair, I want it to suddenly be like my own house where I'm comfortable is now not comfortable.
Yeah, and
That's what I want.
that's what horror games do. They take all your little and big fears and they throw it back in your face, and you just have to fucking deal with it. And it's like, it's like fight or flight. Do you fight through it or do you run away? Um,
Do I go to sleep and experience it, or do I
oh
stay up an
god.
extra 2 hours?
Yeah, keep going. Oh fuck! It didn't come out on October 31st. Dead Space One. It came out on October 14th. Damn.
That's close enough.
There was a game, a big horror game that did come out on Halloween. It was pretty cool. But anyways, Shaded. That I think I want. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to talk about with horror gaming. Uh, it's understandable that not many people prefer a horror game just because it's scary. It's understandable. But I would say there's a horror game out there for everyone that you can get really hooked onto. Doesn't have to be the super spooky whatever that you see most people playing or streaming that are just they're screaming bloody murder like I am.
Oh, there's so many different genres. Like,
But like
you have your atmospheric, psychological, gore, like whatever you're into.
your running gun, yeah. But if there's like, hey, there are more casual horror experiences. Like, Dead by Daylight, I think is a more casual horror experience. Because you're playing with
Or Super
friends.
Mario Party, Superstars, and you just choose the horror board. You
Yeah,
know?
I agree. Yeah, or you could just play Hollow Knight.
There you go.
Want to play your dark themed game? There you go. But at least give it a shot because, like I said, there's always that one. There's horror games have a way of trying to hook you in. It's always with the imagery. It's always with the atmosphere. And as we mentioned before, you see this game, it's a Silent Hill game. You see Resident Evil, or you see Capcom's like zombie game, it's Resident Evil, so on and so forth. It's like,
That is definitely a crazy part of Silent Hill is I think a lot of people, if you even look at fog, like
yeah.
in the real world, you open your door, it's foggy outside. What do you think of?
You think it's
Silent
Silent
Hill.
Hill? Yeah, exactly. It's like it's such a crazy thing too, but it was like the main theme of that game, and it just like stuff like that from horror games sticks to you. Or when I see like some type of monument or like marker, I think of Dead Space.
When I see a marker just chilling, I'm like, oh hey,
if I
Dead
see
Space.
if I see like some like peculiar or
When
ominous.
I see my dead ex-girlfriend, walking around, I'm like, oh hey, that's like Dead Space.
Hey, wait, she's not wearing a slutty nurse costume like in Silent Hill. Oh man. But zombies, anytime I see zombies, I think Resident Evil, Um, and it's awesome. Like it's like, oh, I'll play a shooter game, or I'll pick up an airsoft gun or something, or paintball. I'm like, hey, look, I'm playing Call of Duty, and everyone's just like, cool, bro.
All right, I do have one thing I have to ask you while we're here.
All right, this is gonna be closing things, and then we'll go.
How did you watch the Silent Hill F trailer?
I did. That's the one in Japan, right?
The one in Japan with the flowers and like the Japanese girl walking through the town.
Uh huh.
So, did you notice how she was dragging her shovel like Pyramid Head?
Oh boy, the connections have been made. No, I didn't even realize that because I've only seen
The
it
way
once.
she dragged it, even the animation, I was like, wait, I've
Oh,
seen that before.
oh shit.
How did so I know the trailer didn't show much, but like closing thoughts, I guess. What did you think of it?
Um, listen, I love when games take place in Japan or have a Japanese, setting to it, theme. So I'll enjoy games like Fatal Frame or something like Silent Hill F is doing. Even Ghostwire Tokyo is a little bit on the horror side. Anyway, yeah, I think it's going to be great. I just because it's not going to be your common themed Silent Hill, and I hope it's kind of old school Silent Hill with like the fixed camera angles or maybe behind the back or something. And it could become something completely just off the rails that nobody will even expect.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot to really go off, but
But hey, I like creepy things. I like creepy people walking with a pyramid head limp to them.
yep.
Um, it might be just. It could be maybe a first person Silent Hill game for all we know. It could be like Silent Hill 4 The Room. Uh, but that
That makes
honestly,
sense.
that was probably the Silent Hill game that caught my attention the most because it wasn't like your typical Silent Hill setting type game, you know.
Oh yeah. It was definitely interesting.
So maybe this will be the game that goes deep into the lore of like why this fog is the way why it's foggy and corrupt and cursed, and you know, eventually makes its way to America.
Godzilla's just chilling there.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the Silent Hill version of Godzilla.
No, the Bayonetta
Whatever
3
they said.
version.
Oh, that would be sick.
Uh, so, folks, Shaded, many horror games are on the horizon, and some of them have come out this year. Like the Mortuary Assistant is a huge one in the add that one to the horror
That
community.
is my top 10 of all time, probably.
Um,
Easy.
and you got plenty of others coming out in the next 3, 4 months, 5 months. Like it's going to be some heavy hitters. So your heavy hitters are coming back. I'm super excited to play at least a couple of them just to get my fix and get that high that I get from playing horror games. And
My wallet's sad, but that's about it.
yeah, my wallet's sad, but you know my
My wallet is weeping right now for how much it's gonna get ravaged.
that's the real horror. Are you gonna ban Callisto Protocol? Is your wallet gonna ban it? Ban it?
It might, it might,
It's gonna like throw some salt at it.
it
Oh
just
shoot.
might.
Um, but this, I think we've talked enough about just like why we like horror games and what they do to people and the exciting parts.
Oh yeah.
Shaded, any closing things you want to say before we go?
Um, no, I'm excited to have some cool Halloween stuff tonight. Like, I am hyped to, I don't know, watch some spooky stuff. Probably play, Phasmo, Dead by Daylight.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, get to see some cool costumes, hopefully, from the little kiddies. Give them some candy.
Oh yeah, and
And,
PUBG crossover.
oh yeah, check out that probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a fun night. Maybe like later tonight, I'll go over to the graveyard. Maybe in the middle of the
Yeah.
night, maybe do a stream in the graveyard. We'll see.
Dude, that'd be sick. You'd be like those
But
people you watch on the internet.
yep. So I don't know. This is just one of my favorite nights to just chill and get
Yeah.
spooked.
I'm with you there. And listen, folks, I'm Niko the Legend. Anybody who came by to watch this, whether through the stream, it was nice to come back and stream this after many years of not. But this will be on YouTube, of course, and then on Spotify for the audio version, and then everything else will be in the links down below. And then Shaded's main place to find him is Twitch, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Twitch and yep.
And then, yeah, you'll see the link there down below. And then get spooked, everyone. Try to get scared today. Just be like me and look in the mirror, and I get spooked right away.
Oh yeah. Have a happy Halloween.
All right, so take care, Pathfinders. We'll see you on the spooky front.